So my family, they've always been super supportive of my jiu-jitsu career. They try to attend all my tournaments from when I first started till today. So they actually did, my parents did attend all three matches, but this time I was able to get more of my family out there, my grandparents, my cousins, my aunts. So definitely a big family showing. And I told them, hey, if you're going to be able to come out to one of these, this is the one. Like, I'm going to win it. I'm going to be coming in with a belt. You guys are going to be proud. They always are proud, but I just knew that the results were going to be there for myself. So yeah, obviously, at the end, winning it, going up to them, hugging them all, just having them cheer me on was, irreplaceable. So it was awesome to have them all there.
What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Esparza, coming to you with another great installment of the Grappling Hour. I hope that you're having a great day. I'm having a pretty good one. Solid. Enjoying myself. We have an excellent guest on the show today, a longtime friend of the show. We'll bring him back here in a second. But before we get to him, just a couple quick reminders. First and foremost, if you love this show, and I hope that you do, we're about to celebrate season 7 very, very soon. We're just getting these last few interviews for season 6, and then we're right back to work. There's no rest here at the show. But if you like us, go to patreon.com/grappling hour and become a member. There's no better way to show support for the show than by becoming a member of our Patreon. So for $5 a month, you can see our interviews 30 days before anybody else. And for a few extra dollars, you could see tape studies, breakdowns of matches and fights from Bellator, I don't know, sometimes Subversiv, that one thing that I kind of am a part of, and lots of other organizations where we ask the athletes to walk us through their matches. So you can definitely be a part of that, but that is for our premium users and extra bonus content. Again, not available anywhere else. You can also find us on Patreon. In addition to that, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are on there as well, and new episodes are going to be going up shortly on those channels. And if you're here, like, comment, and subscribe. Now listen, I know we do this dance a lot, but sometimes I don't see you guys comment. Instead, you comment by messaging me on here, which is nice, but that doesn't give me an engagement. That doesn't tell the other people what you're basically telling me, which is great interview. Super cool to get those texts. Put it in the comment section. It's like you guys think you heard part of the message, and then you're just like, Raph, I gotta let you know. It was too hard to tell the YouTube that was a good interview. Because other people can see that as well, including the guest. And last couple quick reminders, it is starting to get into that fall time, that winter time soon after that. But for fall, you're probably going to need a sweatshirt. Why not a Grappling Hour one? Go to rafasparza.com/merch. Get you a t-shirt, get you a sweater. We'll send you out one of our hoodies. It'll be great. So go on over rafasparza.com/merch. And if you want to continue the discussions that we have here on the show, you can find us on our Discord. All right, ladies and gents, let's get to our guest. Well, I have to say I'm incredibly proud of our guest because whenever I see he's going to be included on our Subversiv cards, I get super stoked. He gives good matches. He does all the right publicity for it. He's incredibly enthusiastic. And he came away with some hardware after this last one. And it was a chaotic Subversiv. Let's get that out of the way. But it's always great when you have stable presence who give you incredible work. And not only that, but he also served as a correspondent for us and an incredibly enthusiastic correspondent for us during the CJI and ADCC week. So I thought it was time to bring on someone who was near to dear to us on this show, who's now coming as the champ at Subversiv, and couldn't be prouder of him. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the show your friend and mine, one NOAH CHEN. NOAH, how are you doing, sir?
Doing great, man. Thank you for having me on.
Well, what does it feel like to have won a championship with us over at Subversiv, sir?
I mean, it's been great. It's kind of the first official hardware in terms of a belt that I've ever won. I think before that, probably the only comparable thing was a little fake sword at Naga when I was like 10 years old. So definitely a nice upgrade to have. So yeah, I was super ecstatic. I really prepared for this match, and to come home with the belt, with the win, just meant the world to me. So it was amazing.
The thing that's funny to me is I felt like it was a great progression because you told me we were your first combat jiu-jitsu match. And so now you are a combat jiu-jitsu title holder, which to me, even better than that. I think that's an incredible amount of progress that you've had in a short amount of time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you said, right? Subversive was the first time I'd ever done combat jiu-jitsu. That was 2 matches ago. Very really close loss to Anthony Orozco. Definitely looking to run that one back. And then yeah, had a bit of a weird one for the second one, a draw that was may or may not have been the right decision in my opinion, but yeah, and then to now go on to this third one, dominate, come with the sub as a victory, and yeah, now the new middleweight champ for Subversive.
You know what was impressive to me was we got you a good dance partner on this one, because when I saw who your opponent was, I thought, oh, that's going to be a great match. So what did preparation look like for you? You said you were really coming dialed in. What did that entail for your preparation?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, Matt Cox is no easy guy. He's got a great wrestling pedigree behind him, and I knew that. So I was kind of expecting, obviously, him to get to try to get the takedown on me and to immediately set up the counters from there. So that was one thing, just working the counters, working how to beat his, top pressure, especially from passing guard. And then as well, just being comfortable with the strikes. That is something that I have had to learn since that first match with Anthony. The first match was basically like my brain just trying to catch up and not even knowing what was going on because there was just too many things happening, especially with the strikes. But now with this one with Matt, I felt a lot more comfortable delivering the strikes where I wanted them, when I wanted them, and using them to, again, counter his wrestling, counter his forward pressure, and, eventually set up the submission. So was really dialed in, just getting a lot of training in for it, prepping for his style, for the rules specifically. And at the end of the day, just putting on a show and making sure that everything was exciting, regardless of the decision.
I mean, I felt it was going to be one of those it'll deliver matches, and it did. So I was super happy about that. And I have to tell you, I like Matt as well. But to me, what is always incredible is that I'm in the control booth, and I admittedly thought the match would go a little bit longer. So when it happens, I got to be honest. I don't care which way it goes, honestly, sometimes. And obviously we like you. But when you end a match quicker for me in production booth, I'm always like, oh, thank you, kid. Oh, I could use those 2 minutes back. Or, like we just get so excited. But our whole little production crew got super stoked for you. And I thought that was super cool. And I mean, to his credit, Cox will be back. He's always a great competitor. He has another match against Bobby Winther, I think, coming up really soon. So when I see stuff like that, I always
saw that
think,
one. Yep.
Yeah, I always think like what I love about y'all is that you guys stay active. You guys are already looking to the next thing. So for you, what is the next thing, sir?
Yeah, so the next thing, October 12th, is going to be the UWW Grappling Championships, World Championships in Kazakhstan, Astana. So another huge performance for me that I'm looking forward to showcasing. It's going to be a 26-hour flight to get there. So leaving on the 8th, not arriving until the 10th. So I think that's kind of my biggest challenge right now, is just getting through that time zone change in the flight. But other than that, I am fully prepared and ready for it. It's going to be 3 matches back to back for gold. And essentially, I mean, this is kind of like what they prep as the kind of like pseudo Olympics, essentially, for like this organization. They do manage the wrestling in terms of Olympics, and they're trying to get grappling up to the same speed. So I think, having this opportunity, winning the trials for it, and now being sent as part of Team USA to represent, our country against all these other ones, Russia, Italy, Iran, Mexico, Canada, and like a slew of other ones. It's going to be, I think, an unforgettable experience. So I'm dialed in. I'm ready to perform, ready to get the 3 subs, winning against everybody, and come home, world champ in that format.
It's so funny. I'm familiar with this organization, and we've had a lot of those guys come on our show who got selected and who won the trials process. What does the group chat look like? Because I have heard in years past, it has definitely been very like incredibly patriotic. So I've always heard that like Team America gets very into it. And I've been encouraged because, you know, I feel like whenever we have people doing international stuff, I don't know that it translates as much for jiu-jitsu as it might for other sports. But I get kind of stoked when I hear our athletes coming together and bonding when they're all from different teams in this way.
Yeah, it's definitely that type of feeling right now in the group chat. And then just the excitement from everybody that had won at trials, like knowing that we were going to go overseas and represent our country. And yeah, I mean, pretty much everybody in every division is from like a different team. Like I don't think any of us really share a team member except for John Chandler, who's in the 2 divisions below mine. He is in my part of my team. So we've been training together really hard for, you know, these matches. But yeah, I mean, we're super stoked to go represent our country. Team USA is the 3-time, I believe, or 2-time reigning champs for the last 2-3 years. And before that, Russia was the 8-time champs, but then they got banned from competing. But that ban was lifted this year, so it is already kind of being propped as like a Russia versus USA thing. They're probably going to be in the final. And so, yeah, we're ready to just go there, show our dominance, you know, for the grappling here in the States. And, you know, claim back that title, become 4-time champs, and, you know, do it again next year.
I love that. And, you know, okay, so I have to admit one thing about you, Noah, that always surprises me is that you in person, at least from my experience, incredibly professional, super fun to be around, so polite. When we did our interview, the nicest possible person you could have. However, I've seen how much you enjoy trolling. And you, in doing that, I think it is usually for engagement. But like, you put stuff sometimes on print that I'm like, oh, I don't even know that I would do that. Poor Hemplo. I think it's one thing if I'm making fun of the gi checker from IBJJF. But then sometimes I see you be like, yo, no gi is completely dominating, and why would anybody get this? Or stuff to that extent where I go like, I think Noah's trying to give me a run for the money in terms of salacious statements. So has that always been part of you? Is that more something that comes out because you feel like you now have a voice in the community and you can say those things? Or is it just that you honestly want to try to give that feedback to these groups that sometimes don't actively listen to their followers?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of the honest feedback as well as having a voice. You know, I think, you know, once your name does start to kind of come around, you know, you want to use it, you know, maybe in ways you didn't before. And a lot of times it is honestly just honest feedback for me, like just the, you know, frustrations that a lot of people have in the community with other organizations, you know, revolving, you know, those that shall not be named companies, and, you know, just things that happen in the space. Yeah, you know, I like to just say what's on my mind. In person, you know, I do that too. Like, I don't really shy away from being an honest person. I think that's one of my better traits is, you know, you'll hear it straight from me. But yeah, I'm also polite, you know, I'm respectful. I'm not looking to start a fight or, you know, make the biggest controversy. You know, it's just what I feel. And yeah, I'll put it out there, you know, and if, hey, someone has a problem with it, you know, we can settle it in a grappling match, settle it in a combat match. Whatever. But at the end of the day, yeah, just having a voice and not being afraid of just saying what's on my mind. That's pretty much all there is to it.
Good for you. I just, I laugh a lot because it's not just that you're giving feedback, it's that I find that the feedback is funny. And I have a dead heart in terms of comedy. So it usually takes a little bit to make me laugh. And admittedly, you were on the Subversiv card that I am behind the scenes helping to do work on. And I think there was one moment where the clock was not like the same as what CSAC was doing. So CSAC's the official clock. And you were like, I think you made a comment about that. And I was about to go over there and be like, listen, son, we're going to have words right now. But I couldn't help but think, I'm like, you're probably thinking like a home viewer and a competitor, an athlete, where the clock is really important to you. So I can't fault you for that. The hard part to me is we don't have a line with the athletic commission that is perfectly in alignment. So the clock is more of a guideline that we're
Definitely.
just kind of like trying to give a reference to. So when sometimes the clock was off, I was like, oh, that's off. Or we noticed at one point, I think they were trying to do a different time than it was allotted. And I just remembered being in the control booth, like with my headset on, just screaming out, like,
Hmm.
why is there overtime on the first match? And I remembered like running out there. So I couldn't fault you on that, but it was one of the few times that I was like, wait, no, this affects me now. No, it's very different. If it's somebody else, I don't care. But to me, how dare you, Noah? But I have to say, I was, again, so proud of your performance there. I'll come back to UWW in a second. But I
Hmm.
wanted to point this out. Was your mom there? Was that like a family excursion at that Subversive? Because a lot of what happened post event is clearly very hazy to me. But I wanted to say I thought I saw your family was there. Was that what was going on in like all of the aftermath of what happened?
Yeah, yeah. So my family, they've always been super supportive of my jiu-jitsu career. They try to attend all my tournaments from when I first started till today. So they actually did, my parents did attend all three matches, but this time I was able to get more of my family out there, my grandparents, my cousins, my aunts. So definitely a big family showing. And I told them, hey, if you're gonna be able to come out to one of these, this is the one. Like I'm gonna win it. I'm gonna be coming in with a belt. You guys are gonna be proud. They always are proud, but I just knew that the results were gonna be there for myself. So yeah, obviously, at the end, winning it, going up to them, hugging them all, just having them cheer me on was, irreplaceable. So it was awesome to have them all there.
Yeah, I thought that was super dope. And, clearly I was in the midst of handling some other stuff at that time.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
I didn't have a moment to go say hi or tell you anything. But it's one of the weird images I had pop out was I thought I saw your mom taking a photo of you with the belt, or she was like
Hmm.
talking to you when you had the belt. And I thought that's so cool to see. And then I immediately went right back to like, hey, shut up, go move this, do this. But I was so happy for you that you get to experience that with your family and that is what's going on that side. Coming back to
Thank you, man.
UW,
Appreciate that.
of course, dude. I mean, listen, it's so weird because, like I said, it's hard to always have an impartiality. So I always like to tell
Hmm.
people this. We let the match speak for itself. And then afterwards, I definitely went up to go see Cox. I think I shook his hand because he helped, I think, try to keep things as civil as possible after the end of that for the melee that was going on. So I wanted to at least acknowledge, like, hey, man, I hope are you okay? And what I really wanted to say was just being like, thank you for giving us a match. Appreciate you.
Hmm.
I don't know that I was able to articulate those words, but at least then I try to make my rounds. And when I saw that happen with you and your mom, it's like, well, the match took care of itself. Now I just get to congratulate you and tell you good work. And you really did deserve it. Like you had been performing for us. I was super stoked that they had made it for a championship for you. So I felt like it was well deserved. And I already look forward to seeing you defend it. But we'll get back to that in a second. Let's do this. How did you find out about the UWW? Because what I've found is every year it seems like a few more individuals kind of get more interested in it. And they kind of like it falls on their radar and they think like maybe I'm going to go for it. But so many other people, either they don't pay attention to it, they don't think they got a shot at it, whatever the reason may be. It is kind of an interesting mix that I'm seeing more and more talent get a little bit more interested in doing, and the team is fantastic. So when did that
Hmm.
fall on your radar?
Yeah, so funny thing is I actually competed at one of their qualifiers last year. I had no idea it was even like related to this kind of big promotion. It was up in LA. Didn't win. It was just like a local tournament that I wanted to do. I was like, okay, it's pretty cheap. Let me just go out there and compete. And then this time around, I remember seeing an Instagram ad, funny enough, that was promoting a trip to Kazakhstan, fully comped if you win the trials for this thing. And I was like, hey, I love traveling. I love going to other countries, doing jujitsu in all different kinds of places and spots. So hell yeah, I'm gonna click this. If it's a sus link, well, I guess we'll see. But it actually took me to their page, and it was like, yeah, if you win the qualifiers, you go to the trials, and if you win trials, then you get picked for Team USA. But then I realized that the qualifiers had already ended, and they were basically already ready to start doing the trials, I think in like the next month. So I was like, oh shoot, well, there goes my chance. I missed it. But then I noticed they had a form out where you can kind of apply for your position at the trials. So I was like, oh, hell yeah. So I filled it out, put my achievements, my name, my experience, all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, Johnny Morgan reached out. He was like, hey, we have a spot in both the 77 kilogram and 84. Just let me know which one you want. So I told him 84, that's going to be my spot for sure. And then, yeah, showed up at the trials, prepped as much as I could for it. I only had about 2-3 weeks, I believe. And I was just coming from Hawaii at that time. So I just put my head down and got to work. I was like, if I win this, then I get to go to Kazakhstan. Everything is pretty much calm. And, compete on part of Team USA. So went out there, did my thing, won both matches. First one by points, second one by submission. And then, yeah, I was just super stoked to now have that chance to come out to Kazakhstan. But yeah, kind of what you were saying, it is like a little bit under the radar. I was like kind of confused, like why don't a lot of people know more about this? Like this seems like it's not the biggest tournament. It's not going to maybe give you the largest amount of credibility or rep, but I mean, just the trip aspect of it, I think would have attracted more. But I do think we are seeing that, with Alex Enriquez and a lot of other these guys, John Hansen, that are doing it, Paul Ardilla. So yeah, I think the team this year is really strong, and it hopefully catches more eyes because I think, again, just having more people on here that have a good rep behind them, good experience behind them, it's just going to do the tournament its favor and hopefully just make it more competitive for people to actually get into.
It astounds me because normally you say, okay, maybe not as many people were in the tournament to win. But then you look at sometimes and you go, wait, is second place like Elliot Kelly? Or is second place like this guy that I go, is a champ in this or is a killer in this? So it's not for lack of top tier talent. It's just, I laugh because sometimes it's a quick day for that person to have 2 matches and they're like qualified. And I go, but look at who you beat. Like, that's a pretty impressive person. So it is an interesting mix to me that I'm seeing gain more and more attention. And as you mentioned, some of the folks who are on that team, like Alex Enriquez, obviously John, and I do want to talk about him as well because, man, what an incredible day at Subversive, not just for you, but also for him. And then you both have this experience together. What have you noticed for him? Because it also includes a trip for him to the PGF this year. So this man has been incredibly busy this year. As a teammate, what has it been like to see his ascension going on?
Oh yeah, I mean, John is definitely as active as can be. He's on going to be PGF. He won obviously the trip to Kazakhstan, Subversive, and honestly, seeing him compete, that man is like an encyclopedia when it comes to rules. Like he knows, I think, the rules associated with the Kazakhstan trip for UWW better than anybody, like by heart. He was actually coming in during the trials and essentially like pseudo reffing and like kind of coming up with the right decisions for like questionable positions and stuff that even the refs were like, oh, we don't even really know. So I would honestly put him as like the general of the team. He will certainly have the strategy that I think we need to follow, really explain and break down the rules to us and things that we can use to kind of get away with to maybe score some points or just get the better of the outcome of the decision if it comes to that. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to picking his brain while we're there. Maybe, expressing, hey, this is what I'm going to be trying to do. Like, what do you recommend, especially for the rules and stuff? So it's been great having someone like that on the team. Just that knowledge that you can really rely on in terms of, how a tournament is really going to work. So really glad to have him on the team. He's obviously doing great as a competitor. And, I'm looking forward to, obviously, hopefully being alongside him again on another team aspect or just getting to know him better, as an individual.
I think that's wild because, correct me if I'm wrong here, but is he not the youngest member of the team?
John Hansen or John Chandler?
No, I was speaking of John Chandler. My
Oh, okay,
apologies.
okay.
I said, I mean, John's obviously. I was just like, yo,
Yeah,
I didn't know that
yeah.
read about John Chandler. I didn't know that he was being the general. No, John Hanson makes 100% perfect sense. That's what happens when you have too
Yeah.
many Johns. Hey, get a different name, Johns. Thanks, guys. No, okay. Now that you put that, well, now I want to bring it up to the idea of the reason why I was
Yes.
saying teammate is because you actually
Uh-huh.
get to train with John on a regular basis. So with that in
Yeah.
mind, you know, you guys are going on this journey together that, as we mentioned, the rest of the UWW team isn't necessarily regular teammates, but you guys do train a lot together. What has that felt like to have these experiences together?
Yeah, John Chandler is an amazing individual, both as an athlete and just a person. And yeah, again, I do think we're really the only two people that are on a team that can actually share the mats and really plan this out together. And yeah, he's been critical in my preparation for this. He is smaller than me, but he puts up a fight. You know, he um, trains all day. He's starting his MMA career. He really has that drive in him. I 100% know that he's going to be going places as his career starts to build, you know, with jiu-jitsu, with MMA. So yeah, having him just really put the pressure on me in the rounds. We go off it based off the rules. We talk about, you know, hey, this is why I got this points, or you know, maybe we should try this, or this is one avenue that we can explore if we get into these situations. Has been invaluable. So I'm really grateful to have John Chandler on the team. And I predict him winning it. I mean, he has a heart of gold, and he's one of the most dedicated people that I've seen for just grappling and MMA in general. So it's going to be awesome to have him alongside during those fights, and you know, claim the gold with him and go back to that with our team.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was so impressed. And he is somebody who we will also do an interview with. You know, but similar to the issue I had with you is I like doing the interviews in person, but you're so incredibly busy that I said, hey, listen, let's get this in the books. Let's get it going. Um, but it's a good thing I did that because it looks like a life
Mm-hmm.
change is about to happen for you. So if you're willing to share, what is in your near future, sir?
Yeah, yeah. So pretty quick plans coming up, but I will be actually moving to San Francisco for at least a year. Me and my girlfriend, we are you know, kind of planning our life together, and she has her law job that she's starting up there in a company called Ropes and Gray, private equity law. So we're making the fresh start, the transition up there. She didn't really know though. We didn't really know if we were actually fully going to move because she had to wait for her bar results, which just came in a couple of days ago, and she's set to start in the middle of October. So yeah, I went up, toured a couple places on Monday, making a decision on that today for which one we're going to be sticking with. And yeah, it's definitely a life change. I have to, you know, certainly find new gym or gyms to go and train at, new place to work out at, just kind of get settled in that area. I've always lived in Southern California. I've only visited San Francisco 2, 3 times. So it's certainly going to be a change for me, but I actually really do like kind of the lifestyle up there. I'm a little bit tired of the suburban Irvine kind of feel of things, you know, where everything's super far. It takes like 15, 20 minutes to get really anywhere exciting, and having to always rely on my car. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great, again, start for both me and her, especially with her career. And with me being a remote worker for BG Link, that definitely obviously aligns with me. So yeah, just got to find the new training, got to find the new ways to set up my schedule up there. But it's gonna be an exciting move for us for sure.
Well, it's a great windfall for whoever wins the NOAH CHEN sweepstakes because you're a good training partner. Like you're obviously competitively successful and you're doing a lot of active things. But what are you going to be looking for? Like what speaks out to you that would be something that you're aspirationally looking for a gym when you are looking for one up north?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of factors to consider. I mean, definitely having some sort of competitive team or a couple individuals that are within the same mindset as myself, like really trying to make a name for themselves, competing at as much things as possible, or at least having that competitive edge within the training that can complement my training is probably the biggest factor. And you know, it takes a lot of, you know, kind of weeding out of gyms to really find that. You know, some do, some don't. Some maybe you kind of have to bring the team up to your level. Some are already at that level. So kind of finding those individuals who are willing to, bang it out, go hard in the rounds, compete at tournaments, and just having that same mentality and kind of direction in the jiu-jitsu career is definitely what I'm looking for. But in addition to that, just a space that I can feel comfortable in, one that isn't, I would say, too traditional in the rule sense, where they are kind of open to maybe just like, mostly no-gi training for an individual, or at least having like a dedicated and supportive coach. That is one thing that I'm definitely going to be missing. Nick Boley, my coach right now, he has been one of the most supportive coaches I've ever had in my jiu-jitsu career. So having someone on that level who is there to, help me strategize, game plan, come to tournaments, just be there by my side, if they have that time and that ability to do so, that's going to be a huge plus for me as well. So, just trying to mimic what I have here, up there, good training partners, good coach, and just a good feel of the academy where I really feel like I can truly express, my jiu-jitsu.
Does it feel nice? Because I feel in a sense that you have been such a part of the Southern California competition scene. Does it feel nice to have kind of this new area where I'm sure you've seen a lot of those people in competition, but now you get to be a terror up north as well? Does that open up new possibilities to you? Will you be looking for other tournaments? And then would you even be willing to go up? Because sometimes the people in the Pacific Northwest have fun tournaments, and it's a little bit closer than, when they tell you in Southern California, like, hey, do you want to come up to Seattle? I go, I mean, yes, but also no. I don't know why, but geographically, if you told me that and I was living up in San Francisco, I'd be like, yeah, sure, that seems easier.
Yeah, just like you said, I'm definitely excited to go out there and really conquer the north side of California. I've competed a lot in the Inland Empire, San Diego, and Orange County recently, so I've had a good kind of layout in terms of that for the competitions down here. So I'm going to be looking right away for the local comps up there, what most of the killers go out to compete out there. Making the usual flights or trips down to the majors like No-Gi Worlds coming up in Las Vegas. But yeah, I've also visited Seattle before for a week. Actually really liked it out there. So, that'll definitely be closer. Probably a little bit better than coming down to San Diego for another tournament if I'm already up there. So, I'm going to be willing just to find everything that is possible to go and compete out there. Use that just to determine what is the best one to consistently do. But I'm someone who likes to compete at everything, so you'll probably see me around at most, if not everything, up north for sure.
Okay, that's fine. I'm glad we established that, but I said I was going to come back to one other thing. You have a certain title that belongs to a certain organization that's usually based out in Southern California. So
correct.
I was fine with you moving, but then I had to think about it as the guy behind the scenes at Subversiv. So are we seeing you compete again for us? Because I'm like, hey, listen, I don't have an event planned up there. Do we see you come back here to make a visit to friends and family and then maybe defend your belt at some point, sir?
Oh yeah, 100% guaranteed. I'll definitely be coming back down here. I believe my defense is going to be sometime around February. It's still up in the air, kind of for talks on that. But yeah, I mean, SoCal will always have a place in my heart. It's where I was born, grew up, raised. So I'm always willing to make the trip back down here. Usually, Spirit Frontier, pretty cheap. Get down here for like 50, 70 bucks. So a little bit light on the luggage end, but I can make do as a jiu-jitsu guy usually does. So
I was about to say, I'm like, I feel like everybody who's ever competed in jiu-jitsu has probably experienced the Spirit Airline journey or four of some kind where they do not check a bag and yet still have a lot of shenanigans happen to them. One thing that happened to us was Kevin for our bullpen stuff. He hit me up because I told him, I'm like, let me know how much it costs for production for you to fly out. And he came back and he found like $160 airfare from Atlanta to Vegas. And I go, that's too good to be true. And he sends it to me and I was like, all right, cool. And I guess in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe we should have paid more. I don't know. I have other stuff to worry about. And of course, one of the first flights that gets canceled is that flight. And I remember being on the phone with him and going, you know what? That one's on me. I should have known that was going to happen, because it's not like he lives in LA and then you just drive instead. It's no, Atlanta's too far. You have to fly. And I don't know another way to get you here. So fortunately, we were able to get by and we found him another flight. But that one definitely pissed me off. But I want to, now that we're bringing it back to Vegas, what was that experience like? Because I got to tell you, Noah, the like two people that shocked me the most to have the best curious attitude to be correspondents were you and John Calistine, because I told you guys nobody likes going to Zoom meetings, but I have a certain process and order that I think is important that production knows, because once I'm on air, I can't talk to people on a live show. So I like to tell people like, here's what I'm thinking. You guys give me your feedback. But if you know all of this stuff, there's less things that you're all individually texting me that I can just answer at once for everybody. And you and John were super just like, what else? Oh, and then both sending me super nice texts. So first I should say, thank you for doing it. But what made you excited about this year's CGI ADCC coverage? Because you did a great job as a correspondent for us, sir.
Yeah, I mean, thank you as well, for having me in that position. But yeah, I mean, the most exciting thing was just the tension and the controversy between the two. Having this super new organization come up and pretty much challenge, toe to toe ADCC in terms of the quality of the athletes. I mean, definitely beating them on the money, at least officially, that was given out. And so I think that was a great, match between the two to cover. I was super happy to, have you reach out and bring me along as part of the correspondence. I was keeping up a lot with both organizations and kind of the things going between them too. So I was more than eager to kind of give my opinion on the athletes and the matches and everything that was going on for both events. And, as everybody saw, there was, great results from both end, obviously from CGI and ADCC in terms of the champions, the matches that went on. So I do still put CGI as the winner in terms of event versus event, just because of the money, where it went to, the athletes that they were able to get in the short span of time. So I'm looking forward to if Craig does do it every year. I eventually want to be on that card. I'm going to be making my way there, whatever it takes, whatever matches it takes to get my name on that spot. Hopefully I can be there, but if not, always down to do some correspondence and commentate on both TGI and ACCS every time they come up.
Well, I mean, I don't care if you get on it, you're still going to be involved in the show somehow. Like, we're still going to be calling you even if you're involved as an athlete. I'm going to be like, hey, you're not let off that easy, young man. I was wondering, what, if anything, did you see that could be improved for either? Because I think the big thing that you share that I do, which is, listen, feedback isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I think we have to find ways to make people a little bit more receptive to it. Because at its core, we're rooting for these organizations. We want Jiu-Jitsu to succeed and go on bigger platforms. So with that in mind, what did you see that either ADCC or CJI could maybe implement for your viewing or live experience that you could have seen that might have made it a little bit better?
Yeah, definitely. I think for CGI, probably some sort of way to break up the first day. I feel like that was my only gripe with it, just because it was like 9-10 straight hours of just kind of sitting there watching Jitsu, which, is enjoyable. But I think for just a spectator side of things, especially if you're there at the event, that is a little bit exhausting. So maybe some way to break that up, either into groups or maybe even like a 3-day thing if they wanted to do that. But other than that, I mean, I was really happy as both a spectator and as like a person who knows Jiu-Jitsu with the CGI event. I don't have too many criticisms. I would say just mainly probably just getting down the timing of the matches. And then I think also a little bit in terms of the decisions that kind of went based off of the judging system that they used. I think that could probably be cleaned up a little bit. It is new, so I'm not exactly sure what could be factored into that to improve it. I would probably need to review it again, but I did feel like there were some kind of questionable rounds where it's like, did this person really get a 10-8 or a 10-7, or was this really this close? But again, it is a new format, so I'm sure that they'll be improving on that for next year. For ADCC though, I mean, definitely, I think the biggest drive everybody has is just the official payouts for the athletes. You know, it is just so behind. And from what has been kind of exposed in terms of, you know, talks from people higher up from there, and, you know, seems like a lot of money behind the scenes was given out. So I think on their end, if they really want to improve their reputation and just kind of the look of the organization, they should just offer more to the athletes. As we saw with CGI, that brings people who really want to compete, and that brings the high level athletes. You know, so I think that should be improved 100% for the next event. And then I also think that there are still some things about the ADC rules, even though they have been around for quite a long time, that maybe could use a review or two, especially with just certain things about points in terms of like kind of takedowns and then the initiations. I think as we saw with Felipe versus Gordon, the 2 points that Gordon got, a lot of people were just like, you know, did he really earn those 2 points? It was kind of off of Felipe trying, but then Gordon still being on top. So I think there's always things that could be improved upon for the rules for most organizations. So hopefully that's something that they can kind of address for the next time around. And then I also think, from what I heard from a lot of friends that were there, just turning down the music. I don't know what's up with ADCC and music, but they seem to just have it at 200%, maybe thinking that it's going to elevate just the vibe of the tournament. But a lot of people said that it was so annoyingly loud and that the playlist was just so bad that it was distracting from the matches. I think CGI had a great DJ. I love the music they were playing. It was at a good volume. They lowered it when they needed to be. It was loud when it needed to be. So I guess obviously the production side of ACC maybe still needs to do a little bit of catching up on that end, but seems like a lot of people were just bothered by the music in general. But I would say those kind of the main things for both organizations. I'm sure for the next edition of both, they'll be coming back to the table with things to improve upon. And hopefully, again, like you said, we say these things just to make these organizations aware of what we really want to see as viewers and what will get us to engage with them more, give them more of our time. So it's just, you know, the request of the people who actually do jiu-jitsu, and to hopefully, again, just expand this to more people so that they can also enjoy the sport and enjoy these type of organizations as well.
Yeah, I think they always villainize this sort of feedback. And I get it. Sometimes there's a lot of voices that seem like they don't like your product, but I think at its core, they forget that we're paying subscribers or customers. And at a certain point, take the note. Like if a lot of people are saying the note, maybe it's not one that you creatively want to do, but you might have to address it at some point. And when you mentioned that the noise is loud, to me, what that says is just they don't have somebody leveling it the way they need to, which is mostly just saying like, oh yeah, we need to dial this down here or dial that down there. It could be a creative thing. And again, I don't know. I was not there live. There are some clubs that you go to that purposely play music loud to just drive you to go to the bar. And I feel like that's almost the intent, which, as you mentioned, you want to do the vibe. You want to give it a sense of, oh man, you want to be here. It's such a party at ADCC. But to me, the viewing experience is where I want to see the most improvement. I want to see a way to better cover the chaos of all these matches happening because they have no weight. And then when you look at Craig Jones Invitational, every match had weight, but we did notice if it was a bad match, we were stuck in it for 15 minutes. So
very true.
I don't mind the element of multiple matches going on at one time, but the inherent chaos and inability to do a multi-viewer experience only was amplified by seeing the Olympics being able to pick 4 and you could have multiple screens going on where Flo just kind of says like, I think you can do it. You guys tell us if you can. We're not quite sure. So to me, I feel like that's the next step I want because it highlighted a major disadvantage that ADCC has in saying, hey, some of your favorite stars might have already gotten eliminated and you might not have seen it. And I was wondering if part of that experience is to make you go to the website and look it up there, but it's such chaos. I don't even know. And quite frankly, as a guy who knows almost 70% and has done interviews with almost 60-70% of the athletes in question, when they come up to me and they're like, you saw my match? And I go, no, I tried. Legitimately. I was there in a chair watching every screen possible. But no, I did not see your match, sir. I'm sorry. Like, I legitimately am trying. So it's something that I think it could be as easy as finding a better way to stagger things. Like being a little bit more forceful with how we do it. Because at a certain point, we're going to need to dial that in as a television product. So I don't even know that I want to say the words add a third day, but something would be great. So I like kind of inciting that conversation. So we mentioned a little bit about you as a correspondent, you as a champion, you with life-changing news. I would like to ask, what has been going on? You are one of the people behind BJJ Link. I see you doing so many social posts with that. You do a great job of getting that engagement. I really, really like the format that you guys use on that. What new news, if any, has been coming out of that? And what new developments have you guys been doing with BJJ Link as of late, sir?
Yeah, I mean, we are always trying to elevate the Jiu-Jitsu space online, just offering different software and products for both students, content creators, and academies to use. So, Admin Plus is our premier software for academies. Social is our platform for if you want to nerd out on your Jiu-Jitsu social network. That's going to be the place for you. And then we have Elevate, which is our content marketplace for athletes to go ahead, sell their content, get their name out there, get the engagement they need solely in the space for Jiu-Jitsu. One thing that we do have upcoming actually pretty soon, I believe this week, is going to be our own dedicated timer app actually for Jiu-Jitsu. So instead of finding or paying for really these just terribly outdated UI apps on the App Store or trying to find stuff on Amazon that works for timers, we have our own coming out. It's going to be for the Apple TV and Fire Stick, as well as on mobile app for the phone. So, if you really want to just improve the experience of using a timer at your academy, something that is customizable for, your logos, your colors, different types of intervals, different types of rounds, the sounds that you can put on there. It's all going to be based for Jiu-Jitsu, and it's all free. So we just want to give back to the community. Add another thing that we've kind of seen that's lacking on there. And from my own experience at gyms, when I see these kind of funny little timers that just terribly, like either half the people don't know how they work, or it just goes off at the wrong time, or it just makes this ridiculous sound. I'm like, okay, maybe there is a little bit of a better way that this could be done just to improve the experience of athletes that are at the academy. So yeah, expect that. That is kind of coming out of BJ Link this week, and you'll be able to see it on the App Store, as well as again for Apple TVs and on the Fire Stick as well.
Okay, hold on. Now, I didn't fully know that was something you guys were working on, but I have questions because I am one of the resident, and I say this word, so I understand what I am implying, but I want to show you the low level that I'm clearing as a bar clock geniuses, because I just know how it works. I'm not even the most proficient at it, but they are handing it to one of the older people in the gym, and they're like, I don't know how, and I go, just give it to me here. I always make it work. So yes, there is definitely a need for that. But you mentioned there would be sounds. Are you able to pick from a set of already supplied sounds, or is it that I can make my own customizable sound to end the rounds? Because that may change things for me as an instructor.
Yeah, so right now we are starting off with preset sounds. We do want to expand that so that you guys can, as the professors or whoever's managing the clock, can have your own specific sounds based upon your own kind of profile within there with the timer. So that is kind of the next step with that. Right now it is just a preset. You can choose from a couple different ones. But we do know that people want to have that kind of individuality for those sounds. So that will be also coming soon for that as well.
Okay. I will tell you, as much as I want it, I think it's going to be a bad idea for me, because I will put the stupidest sounds. Once you said it was customizable, my brain went into 4 different areas where I go, do I put like a Little John? Yeah. Or do I do like a dog noise? Do I do something really stupid? Because even as is, we have certain things that you become accustomed to at your gym. So, for example, if
Hmm.
somebody has a playlist and you know it's a certain instructor, you know you are going to get this song at this part of your training, or you know certain routines happen where your brain just goes, ugh, it's this song again. So
Definitely.
I've started thinking, I'm like, oh, you just have to train people to do that, because I think there was one gym I went to and they had like a rooster sound for the end of a roll. And it used to baffle me. Like I used to
Interesting.
sit at the end of every roll and be like, that's weird, right? Like I think everybody else here is conditioned to think this is normal, but I think this is weird. So I have always had a certain eye out for those things. But I love the idea that you mentioned of making customizable. You can put the gym logo on it. You can make it feel like it belongs to that gym. So that's a really interesting and cool thing that you guys are doing. So kudos to you and your team. That sounds awesome. And
Thank
I'll
you.
definitely be looking out for that, especially if you can put on a fire stick, because good Lord, some of this stuff is hard to make transfer to your TV or your gym. But if you can just program it to
Definitely.
go to that, that's a really good programming addition. So awesome stuff. All right, dude. Well, let's do this. We need to start circling here. I promised we'd be done by a certain time, and we're hitting about that time. So what I'd like to do right now is I'd like to put the camera on you to give out any shout outs or any compliments you want to give to your teammates or your sponsors, to whoever helped you do such an incredible performance over at Subversive, sir. So the camera is on you.
Yeah, I mean, always shouting out BG Link, the Jiu-Jitsu ecosystem. Again, we are trying to elevate the space online. Also want to shout out one of my newest partners, BJJ Camp XP. They host camps in Colima, Colombia. The newest one is actually going to be happening this October 22nd. Still time to get some tickets. It's a great team of guys out there. They're going to be having Munis Anderson as the head coach, as well as his wife, basically teaching everybody out there. You're going to be able to go do zip lining, beach trips, waterfalls, a bunch of different excursions, and obviously, jujitsu for multiple parts throughout the day. So shout out to them. If you want more information, just hit me up on my socials. I can get you probably a discount for that as well. But other than that, I mean, obviously, thank you to my family for the support at Subversive. Thank you to my team, OCRTC, Nick Boley, Jesse, John, for the prep for that, and especially John, prepping right now for the Castellano trip. So excited to go out there and compete and perform with him. But also thank you to Jujitero. They are my Jiu-Jitsu sponsor in terms of anything that I need, apparel-wise, gear. They've been with me for over 7 years now. One of the greatest companies that I've ever been a part of. So always shout out to them. And then also Alex Sterner from Electrum Performance. He's my personal coach. He helps me in terms of getting me ready for these tournaments physically. So always shout out to him. He's a great guy. If you need strength and conditioning work for yourself as a jiu-jitsu athlete, you should definitely hit him up at Electrum Performance. And then also Rebel Strength is the space that I go and get my workouts in and my strength conditioning done. So Hinaldo, thank you, for opening your space to me. It's a private gym, 24/7 access, has all of the things that you would need in the gym, from the weights to the machines. So really grateful to have that space. And yeah, again, just thank you to everybody who is kind of alongside with me, who wants to see me do well. Your support is what gets me here, and hope to keep performing for everybody.
Well, I want to say thank you again for being an incredible correspondent. You did such a good job, and your enthusiasm made me more enthusiastic as the weekend was going on. It's a hard gig to be on air forever. So every time somebody comes
Definitely.
in wanting to kill it, it makes me a little bit more excited, especially if I'm tired. And I can't thank you enough for all your invaluable help and your time. It was so much fun to have you on there, and I definitely will have you back and doing fun stuff like that. So we definitely wish you continued success, but I also kind of want to secretly steal you more to do more of that in the future. But I know that you're definitely in the midst of a great career of doing stuff as a jiu-jitsu athlete. So continue doing that, man. And congratulations on the big move. I look forward to seeing that, but let's mark some time when you come back down to SoCal and we'll get some more training in, sir.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me, Raf. Always appreciate you kind of giving the spotlight here. And yeah, always happy to contribute to the show. So whenever you need me, Whenever you want to roll around, get some, WWE moves on me, just let me know, and
Hey,
we'll get
you
that
know
done.
what? Hey, you didn't get any WWE moves when you came.
That's
So
true. That's true.
you were not hit with all of the dumb moves, but now that you're part of the inner circle, now it's just gonna happen. So,
It's
I'm just telling
inevitable.
you, man, it's gonna be something. But I think you'll learn a few moves that you can take out into the major competition scene.
Looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to
All
it.
right, Noah Chen, thank you so much, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and close this off. But Noah, if you need to run, I will talk to you later, sir.
Awesome. Thank you again, Raf. Really appreciate you having me on.
Talk to you, buddy. All right,
See you,
ladies and
brother.
gents, our thanks to Noah and our thanks to you guys for tuning in. It has been an incredible episode. We appreciate you guys for coming to say hello to us. Couple quick reminders: like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have no idea what you want to comment on, why don't you tell us what CJI or ADCC could do in the future that you would like to see? Not myself, not Noah, but you, the audience, would like to see in the near future. You can also follow us on patreon.com/grappling hour. $5 a month. See these interviews 30 days before anybody else. And for a few extra dollars, you can get extra bonus content not available anywhere else. And as a reminder, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can see us on Grappling Hour platforms there. And last but not least, check us out on our Discord. Oh, and also, actually, not last but not least, don't forget, go get merch from us. It's starting to get a little cold. rafasparza.com/merch for your official t-shirts and hoodies. Get you some, support the show. That goes directly to supporting us here, and it means the world when you guys do it. So much love and appreciation. Ladies and gents, that's going to do it for us here on today's episode of the Grappling Hour. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.